The police decided to enter the flat, but rather than break down the door, they called a locksmith, figuring that a few minutes either way were unlikely to make a difference. A neighbor had raised the alarm. She didn't dial the police emergency number, but instead rang the main switchboard and informed the officer who took her call that she was a little worried, as she hadn't seen her next-door neighbor for several days. "He tends to drop in before he goes shopping," she said, "and I usually hear him coming and going, or spot him from my window walking to the shop, but I haven't seen him or heard him at all in the last few days." "Could he have gone out of town?" "Out of town? He never leaves town." "Or to visit friends or relatives?" "I don't think he has many friends, and he's never mentioned any relatives." "How old is he?" "About 90, but fit. He looks after himself, runs all his own errands." "Could he be in a hospital?" "No, I'd have noticed. I live right across the landing from him." "Or could he have moved into a home? Sounds like it wouldn't be before time." Goodness, what a lot of questions. I can't answer them all, but not everyone wants to just shuffle off into a home, you know. He's in very good health." "All right, thank you for ringing, dear. We'd better send someone round." Now there were 2 police officers standing outside the old man's door, waiting for the locksmith. The neighbor, whose name was Birgitta, was there as well. One of the officers had a prominent paunch, the other was much younger and so thin his uniform hung off him. They looked almost comical as they stood there chatting on the landing. The fat man, who was older, was the more experienced of the pair. This wouldn't be the first time he'd had to enter the home of a vulnerable elderly person who lived alone. Several times a year the police received requests to check up on people who had fallen through the gaps in the welfare system. The locksmith, Omar, was one of his cousins and could pick a lock in seconds. Omar appeared on the landing, and they exchanged cousinly greetings. All it took was a quick tinker with the lock, and the door opened without a hitch. "Hello?" the fat cop called into the flat. There was no answer. Telling his cousin and the woman from next door to wait outside, he beckoned his partner to follow him in. "Hello?" he called again. Still no reply. The policemen made their way cautiously into the flat. The fat cop sniffed the air. The smell that greeted them was bad enough for both men to clamp their hands over their noses. All the curtains were drawn, and the lights were on in the hall, kitchen, and sitting room. "Hello?" called the thin officer, a little shrilly. "Anybody home?" No answer.